Some men are not hated, they are used. There's a particular type of man who believes his value lies in his work. He builds systems, he solves problems, he holds things together when everyone else is chaos. He thinks this makes him irreplaceable. It doesn't, it makes him convenient. Convenient men are never consulted about their own future. Decisions are made around them, not with them. Their absence is planned before they even know they're leaving. And the system they built? It will be handed to someone else the moment they're no longer useful. First lesson, loyalty without boundaries is not a virtue. It's an invitation to be replaced. These men work quietly. They don't demand recognition. They believe results will speak for themselves. They're wrong. Results don't speak. People speak about results. And if you're not in the room when they're speaking, your results belong to someone else. Convenient men confuse usefulness with respect. They think family protects them. They think years of service matter. They think their work is too valuable to ignore. But family doesn't protect you if you don't enforce boundaries. Years of service mean nothing if you're easy to control. And valuable work just makes you useful until someone decides you're not. Second lesson, the signs are always there. Meetings happen without you. Your authority shrinks, but your workload doesn't. New people appear and no one explains why. Your wife stops defending you in small arguments. Convenient men ignore these signs. They tell themselves they're overthinking, being paranoid, that everything's fine, until it's not. I used to believe this logic. I thought my situation was different. I thought that because I was married to the daughter, because I built half the infrastructure, because clients trusted me, I thought that made me safe. I thought results would protect me. I thought loyalty would be remembered. I thought family meant something beyond convenience. I was wrong about all of it. I didn't learn this gradually. I didn't learn it in private. I learned it in front of a room full of people. I didn't understand what I was until I heard it said out loud, not in private, in public, at a company event, in front of employees, clients, and family, with my wife standing 3 feet away, smiling. That's when I understood. I wasn't important. I was convenient. And the moment I stopped being convenient, I stopped existing. This happened 17 years ago. I'm 55 now, and I'm going to tell you exactly what happened, because if you see yourself in this story, you need to act before it's too late. My name is Michael. Back then, I was 38 years old and the operations manager at a mid-sized logistics company in Chicago. 12 years I'd been there. I started as a coordinator, worked my way up through real results. Not politics, not connections, just competence. The company was founded by Victor Brennan, my father-in-law. I met his daughter Elena when I was 26. We dated for 2 years, got married. Victor offered me a position right after the wedding. I took it. I thought I was building something, a career, a family, a future. For 12 years I believed that. Victor seemed fair. He didn't hand me promotions. I earned them. When I proposed a new routing system that cut costs by 18%, he approved it. When I renegotiated contracts with 3 major vendors and saved the company $200,000 in 1 year, he said it was good work. I took that as respect. It wasn't. It was acknowledgement of usefulness. But I didn't see the difference. Third lesson, respect and usefulness are not the same thing. Respect comes with a voice. Usefulness comes with silence. I rebuilt the scheduling system from scratch. I trained half the current staff. I handled client escalations that Victor didn't want to deal with. When we expanded into 2 new regions, I coordinated everything: logistics, hiring, implementation. Revenue grew 40% during my time there. I didn't do it for recognition. I did it because I thought I was building something that would last, something I'd be part of. I thought I was building my future. I was building someone else's. It started 6 months before the party. Meetings I used to lead were suddenly handled without me. Decisions I used to make were already discussed. When I asked who discussed them, Victor would wave me off. The meetings weren't urgent, he'd say. Don't worry about it. Fourth lesson. When you're excluded from discussions about your own work, you're not being protected. You're being replaced. Then Brendan Cole showed up, mid-30s, confident. Victor introduced him as a temporary consultant brought in to assess operational efficiency. Temporary, except he was at every meeting. He had access to every file. He was asking my team questions I should have been answering. When I mentioned this to Victor, he told me not to take it personally. When I brought it up with Elena, she said her father was just being thorough. I was being paranoid, she said. It was just a consultant. Fifth lesson, when your partner dismisses your concerns instead of defending you, that's not support, that's complicity. Elena stopped defending me in other ways too. Small things at first. If I disagreed with Victor about business at Sunday dinner, she'd take her father's side. If I mentioned feeling sidelined at work, she'd say I was too sensitive. If I asked if something was wrong between us, she'd say nothing was wrong. I was imagining things. I wasn't imagining things. I was being prepared for removal. Every December, Victor threw a company holiday party. December 2007. The party was at the Palmer House downtown, maybe 150 people. Elena was distant that morning, checking her phone constantly. When I asked if everything was okay, she gave me that tight smile and said everything was fine. It wasn't. We arrived at 7. Elena immediately went to find her father. I made small talk with the operations team. One of the senior account managers pulled me aside and asked if I was doing okay. Things had been weird lately, he said. Then he looked uncomfortable and told me to forget he said anything. Sixth lesson, when people start acting like they know something you don't, they do, and it's about you. Halfway through the evening, Victor stood up and tapped his glass. The room quieted. He started with the standard thank you speech. I wasn't paying close attention. Then his tone shifted. He said the company had to make difficult decisions. They had to think about the future. Effective immediately, they were making changes to leadership. My stomach dropped. He said the operations manager had done solid work over the years. They were grateful for his contributions. But the company needed someone who could take them to the next level. He was talking about me, in past tense, in front of everyone. Brendan would be stepping into the operations role starting next week. He brought fresh perspective, new strategies, dynamic leadership. The room went silent. I felt every pair of eyes turned toward me. Then Victor said Brendan was the right fit, not just for the company, but for the family. For the family. I looked at Elena. She was standing next to her father, smiling, not uncomfortable, not apologetic, smiling. Brendan walked over and shook Victor's hand. Then he turned to Elena, and she hugged him. Not a polite hug, a real one, warm, familiar, in front of everyone. That's when I understood. This wasn't just a firing. This was a replacement, professional and personal. Brendan wasn't just taking my job. He was taking my life. Victor raised his glass. To the future. Elena raised hers. Brendan raised his. The room followed mechanically. I stood there, invisible. I set my glass down and walked out. No one followed. Not even my wife. Seventh lesson. Public humiliation is not an accident. It's a statement. They want you to know you don't matter, and they want everyone else to know it too. Elena came home 3 hours later. I was sitting in the kitchen. She walked in like nothing had happened. She said I'd left early. I said her father just fired me in front of 150 people, and she stood there smiling. She called it a business decision. Said her father thought Brendan was a better fit. It wasn't personal. I asked about the hug. She looked away. I asked how long it had been going on with Brendan. She said that wasn't relevant. It was completely relevant. She admitted she'd known about the firing for weeks. Victor had told her. He wanted to make sure she was okay with it. And she was. Because it was his company. He got to decide who ran it. I looked at her and saw it clearly. I wasn't her husband. I was her father's employee. And when he decided I was no longer useful, she didn't defend me. She helped replace me. 12 years. And I was expendable. I wasn't important. I was convenient. Eighth lesson, when someone shows you who you are to them, believe it the first time. Don't wait for more proof. You already have it. The next morning, I went to a coffee shop. Julia Hartman was there. I'd met her twice before at industry conferences. She ran logistics for her father's company, Victor's biggest competitor. She saw me, walked over with 2 coffees, and sat down. She said word traveled fast. Victor had made sure of that. She said I didn't deserve what happened, that I'd built half that company's infrastructure and everyone in the industry knew it. Victor knew it. That's why he did it publicly, to make sure I wouldn't fight back. She told me her father wanted to meet me that day. They were expanding into 3 new regions and needed someone who knew logistics, knew the market, and didn't need 6 months to get up to speed. Senior Operations Director, my own team, real authority and respect. 9th lesson, when one door closes violently, another opens immediately, but only if you're paying attention. Opportunities don't wait for you to finish grieving. Richard Hartman didn't waste time. He said he'd known about my work for years. Victor was lucky to have me, but luck runs out when you treat people like they're replaceable. He laid out the offer. Senior Operations Director, full authority over 3 regional hubs, salary 40% higher, equity options, a team of 12 reporting directly to me. He said I'd have resources, a voice, and respect. Respect meant being in the room when decisions were made, not told about them after. Everything was in writing. Clear responsibilities, clear authority, no ambiguity, no family dynamics, just professional respect. I signed that afternoon. 10th lesson, real value is recognized immediately. If someone truly respects you, they don't make you beg for it. They see it and act on it. I came home that evening and told Elena I was filing for divorce. She was surprised, said I was being ridiculous. We could fix this, talk to her father, maybe he'd reconsider. I said I didn't want to talk to her father. I didn't want to fix this. I wanted out. She asked if I was throwing away 12 years over one bad night. One bad night. That's what she called it. I told her I wasn't throwing anything away. She already did. I moved out that weekend. No yelling, no begging, no explaining, just action. 11th lesson, leave cleanly. Don't give them a chance to manipulate you back. Don't let them rewrite history. State your decision and act immediately. 3 months later, the report started. Client complaints at Victor's company, missed deadlines, vendor issues. Brendan was loyal. He said yes to everything Victor wanted. But loyalty without competence is just expensive cheerleading. He couldn't run operations. He didn't understand the systems. He didn't have the relationships. Victor tried reaching out, through Elena first. Then he called directly. Then Elena called saying her father was struggling. The company was struggling. Could I at least give him advice? I said no. She said I was being petty. I said I was being unavailable. Meanwhile, my new company's regional expansion exceeded every projection. Clients I used to work with at Victor's company started moving their contracts to us, not because I poached them, because they trusted me, and they didn't trust Brendan. Victor's problem? Not mine. 12th lesson, never save people from the consequences of disrespecting you. Let them struggle. Let them fail. That's how they learn what you were worth. A year later, Elena asked to meet. I agreed. We met at a quiet restaurant. She looked older, tired. She told me she'd known what her father was planning. She'd known about Brendan. She'd known it would happen at the party. He'd told her 3 weeks before. She said she was scared of disappointing him, scared of choosing me over him. Her father said I wasn't the right fit for the family anymore, that Brendan understood the business better, that it was just business, and Brendan had started before the party. Her father encouraged it, said we'd grown apart anyway, that I'd understand eventually. She admitted she didn't think I'd actually leave. She thought I'd be angry for a while, then get over it. She thought I needed them more than they needed me. There it was, the truth. When she finished, I said, "Thank you for telling me." She asked if that was it. I said yes. She wanted forgiveness, or a fight, or something to make her feel less guilty. I gave her nothing. Final lesson. Closure is not a conversation. Closure is a decision. You don't need their apology. You don't need them to understand. You just need to move forward. The moment I stopped being convenient, my real life began. I spent 12 years believing that hard work, loyalty, and results would protect me. They didn't. Because I never demanded respect, I assumed it. An assumption without enforcement is just hope. Respect is not given for competence. Respect is enforced by boundaries. And I had none. Family is not a shield if you don't set limits. Years of service mean nothing without mutual respect. Being useful is not the same as being valued. I'm 55 now. 17 years since that December night. I'm still at Hartman Distribution, VP of Operations now. I've helped build the company into one of the largest logistics firms in the Midwest. I have a team that respects me. I have authority that's never questioned. I have a salary that reflects my value. Victor's company struggled for 3 years before he sold it at a significant loss. Brendan left after 18 months. Elena moved to Colorado. I heard she's remarried. I don't think about them anymore. Not with anger, not with satisfaction, not at all. Because here's what I learned. Your real life doesn't begin when you succeed. It begins when you stop accepting less than you deserve. If this sounds familiar, pay attention. If you're holding things together while decisions are made around you, pay attention. If your value is measured by your usefulness, not your presence, pay attention. You are not paranoid. You are being prepared for removal. The only question is, will you wait for the public humiliation, or will you leave on your own terms? The moment you stop being convenient and start demanding respect, that's the moment your real life begins.